Before the video starts, keep in mind that this video will contain spoilers for the entirety of Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. I don't know if I'll talk about the entire game, but I may, so I'm just putting it out there. As a fair warning. Yeah, let's call it. Now, as you've probably deduced from the title of the video, you know that this will be about Super Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair's Chapter 2, Sea and Punishment, Sin and Coconuts. But most importantly, you know that this will be just me ranting about my opinions on it and why I think it's probably one of the best chapters in the Danganronpa series. In case for some reason you didn't know, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair is commonly regarded as the best Danganronpa game so far, as, I don't know, it has a great ending. The chapters are overall pretty solid except for maybe one or two, but yeah, the game is really good. It has a very colorful cast, the setting is great, and pacing doesn't really have glaring issues that you realize when you're playing the game for the first time. This game is separated into 6 chapters. Today I want to look at Chapter 2 and how it manages to impact the overall story, despite, you know, being one of the first chapters. The thing you'll come to notice about Danganronpa chapters is that most of the time, the first 4 are self-contained murders. By that I mean the murderers kill for their own selfish reasons, and most of the time end up dying without really knowing why they're placed in the killing game or just anything about the outside world in general. Yeah, Chapter 2 is one of those chapters. However, it manages to stand out because the events that occurred in this chapter are repeatedly brought out throughout the game, instead of someone just crying about it for a few minutes and then getting over it, going back to normal. Everyone's happy, yay. While yes, this video may sound like a rant at some point, that's probably because it is, there is a script and a structure. So this is how the video is going to go. The first part is going to be a recap of Chapter 1 in Danganronpa 2, where I just give my opinions on it, and yeah. Then I'm going to talk about the motive introduced in this chapter, and, you know, also giving my opinions on it. I'm starting to notice a pattern. Then a quick recaps of the events of this chapter. A section where I talk about the body discovery announcement, the investigation period, and finally the class trial, the execution, post-trial, and all of the sad stuff that transpires after it. I think that's all the necessary information out of the way, so without further ado, let's actually start the video. Alright, so for the quick rundown of Chapter 1, Monokuma's motive this time around was just promising to return the lost memories of the students who are trapped on Jabberwock Island. They all explore the island, trying to find a way out. Byakuya then receives a menacing letter telling him that someone is most likely going to die tonight at, well, sometime. In response to this, Byakuya throws this lit-ass party, and he does body checks, hoping that nobody will get killed. It's all fun and games, everyone's safe. Byakuya, you know, being the natural born leader he is, decides to make Teru work in the kitchen to have food for everyone. And the other students draw straws, I guess, to find out who's gonna be the unlucky student to have to clean the entire shack close to the hotel. Nagito is chosen as the one to clean up, and turns out he was the one that sent the letter to Byakuya. He's preparing a murder to kill someone at the party tonight. He doesn't really care who it is, he just wants to do it. And Teru, who was in the kitchen at the time, finds out about this plan. He tries to interfere with it by going along with it and trying to kill the person that will grab the knife under the table that Nagito hid. Most likely Nagito in this case. So yeah, Nagito uses the knife, or tries at least, but Byakuya prepared for this and pushes Nagito away from under the table because he had night vision goggles. I know, right? So convenient. It's almost as if he saw this coming. So Teru at this moment is hiding under the floorboards, stabs Byakuya multiple times, and when the lights turn back on, he realizes that he did not kill the menace to society here. An investigation happens. Class trial begins, and once Nagito is cornered, people think that he's the killer. He goes Joker mode, and it's terrifying. But the group then eventually comes to the conclusion that Teru killed Byakuya, and he is executed. This is a great setup, great first chapter. Yeah, Teru was obviously going to die at some point. I mean, you have 2 perverts on the island. At least one of them is going to have to die early on. And while yes, I was very happy to see Byakuya go because I hated him from the first game, I was still confused as to how he made it onto Jabberwock Island, and was slightly pissed that he was killed off so early. But yeah, everyone then leaves the class trial. Nagito is now the Joker, and people don't really know what to do with it. Alright, I admit it, the first chapter's motive wasn't really that good. It was, pretty bland, but the second chapter improves on this in every way. Because that's right, this time the motive is a video game, but more specifically, a murder mystery game. I know, how meta. Monokuma tells everyone that when they play the game, they're gonna find out some memories about their past, and it's most likely going to lead to a murder. So the group decides on not playing the game, because, they're very sensible human beings, they don't want to die. But Monokuma announces that there is also going to be a special prize for the first person to beat the game. So, yeah, it gives even more incentive, and we already know how this is going to go. Now, I really like this motive. It manages to be original, creative, and somewhat meta, but most importantly, it gives the students the idea that they have dementia. Now that the motive has been revealed, I can finally talk about the events of this chapter. The chapter starts off like most do in this game. You go up to the restaurant, talk to all the other students, except this time it's a lot more sad because Teru is dead and he can't cook the food no more, so you're left with, just 5-star hotel food. I know, so sad. But then a smell comes up. Turns out it's Hiyoko. She has not showered in about 28 days because she could not tie her own clothes. Like the nice person that she is, Mahiru then helps Hiyoko to shower, I guess, because she knows how to tie a kimono. A second island has also now opened up, so I guess that's great. 2 of our classmates are dead, but at least we might have an escape path now, right? On the second island, you get some new buildings like ruins of what appears to be Hope's Week Academy, which raises even more questions because wasn't Hope's Week Academy supposed to be in Japan? I guess we'll never find out. There's also a library where Sonia talks about her favorite serial killers, Genocide Jack, and Sparkling Justice, who is this other serial killer that, who knows, might appear in this chapter in a true parallel to Chapter 2 of Trigger Happy Havoc. There's also a pharmacy, and Mikan's really happy because, well, she's a nurse and she likes drugs. You leave her in the pharmacy like a true Chad, and then you go to the other parts of the island where there's a diner. That's cool. There's a restaurant, you get to eat burgers. And from that diner, there's a road that leads to another beach, because, you can never have enough beaches on an island. At that beach, there's a small beach house with a shower, some refreshments, and, you're supposed to be able to change in it. However, you're not allowed to shower because the showers aren't working, and you're not allowed to change because perverts might be lurking. That's basically all there is on the second island. Skip to nighttime, the motive is announced. They all decide to not play the game, but Fuyuhiko's, being himself, is like, you know what? I don't care about what you say, I'm gonna play the game. Well, he doesn't say that explicitly, but it's implied that he's going to play the game. You all go to sleep, wake up next morning, and you run into Fuyuhiko, who's carrying the envelope. So, yeah, you can assume that he's already played the game, and he was the first one to beat it, meaning that he has the special advantage. Well, there goes your chances of murdering someone else, I guess. You meet up with everyone at the restaurant, and Mahiru gives you a tray, tells you to go feed the dog that they're keeping inside the old shack near the hotel. So you go to the shack, and, well, you find Nagito, who's been tied up because nobody wants the Joker to be running around on Jabberwock Island. One of the most homoerotic scenes in Danganronpa takes place, and because he's disgusted by Nagito's taunts, he knows about the motives for some reason. You just leave the tray and let him starve for who knows how long. You try to sleep, but you keep thinking about Nagito, those eyes, that smile, and you decide to go play the game. You don't really understand it, the structure doesn't make sense, the ending doesn't really make much sense either, but anyways, you go to sleep. Only to go to the restaurant next morning and find out that Fuyuhiko, for the first time, is eating with everyone else. Mahiru then walks in and walks back out again immediately after seeing Fuyuhiko. So that's when you start to tell yourself that something is amiss, why is she intimidated by Fuyuhiko? Fuyuhiko has the envelope, maybe there's something going on between the two. But all thinking is interrupted once Kazuichi walks into the scene. He tells you to meet with him because you got something to tell you, and when you do, you find out that he basically wants to crash the girls' beach party. But because everyone knows him as a pervert, they know that if he shows up alone and calls it a coincidence, they're not going to believe him, so he brings you with him. Now, yeah, you could say it was for personal interest, Kazuichi is very desperate. I like to think that this is a moment of friendship, Kazuichi just lends out his hand for you and tells you, Hajime, my bro, I know we're not that close, but I need your help. I want to see Miss Sonia in a bikini. Please come with me. So you reluctantly agree and then go to the diner while waiting on all the girls to arrive. While waiting for the women, you see Fuyuhiko, and in typical Fuyuhiko fashion, he tells you to make like a tree and fuck off, but then you pull the Uno reverse card on him, and he's the one to fuck off. You wait a bit more, and eventually some of the girls show up, Ibuki and Mikan. Kazuichi, being the idiot that he is, tells everyone what his true intentions are, and because the girls can't really do anything about it, they just accept the fact that he's going to be with them the entire afternoon. While waiting on everyone else, the four of you have a great time, and you see Hiyoko running by crying, which I guess is a very early indication that something is wrong, but they don't really make much of it at the time because, you know, Hiyoko was kind of a meanie. Yep, that's exactly the word I was looking for. Anyways, you don't really make much of it at the time, and then the other students, the girls, start walking in one by one in one of the most fan-service scenes in Danganronpa. But hey, I guess some people are into it. You see people like Chiaki, Akane, Peko walk in, which I guess confirms the fact that they're alive, so that's good. And then, it happens. Sonia Nevermind is about to walk in, Kazuichi is feeling many things at the moment, and when she does, she shows up in a full, you know, one of those waterproof diving suits, and Kazuichi doesn't really know what to feel anymore. He's happy that she's here anyway, and decides to go to the beach house to get everything ready. You then join him, and on your way to the beach house, you hear a scream.
Someone come here!
So yeah, Kazuichi has apparently found a body because a body discovery announcement then starts. I also really like the scene simply, you know, because it makes you feel powerless. Someone has died, other people have found the body. It really makes you feel like you're not the main character. And at this point, you don't even know who your character is because they don't remember their own ultimate talent. It really shows you that, yeah, there are some things in this world that you can't change. And your character might just be a regular guy. You don't even know that yet. So you enter the beach house and you see Mahiru's body. Considering how she was acting in the last moments you saw her, yeah, it was pretty obvious that she was going to die. I didn't really have strong opinions on her, so seeing her die like that didn't really, you know, move me that much. But yeah, there's an investigation period that happens, and Nagito has been unleashed. He notices some footprints in the sand and goes to everyone's cottage to draw pictures of their shoes. While all of that's going on, you and Chiaki then go back to the game to play it one more time, as apparently it has a secret ending. You unlock the secret ending, and you find out that there are even more murders inside the story, and one of the murders is very similar to how Mahiru died, with a whole baseball bat to the head and then body laying up against the wall. You immediately deduce that, yeah, the murder had something to do with the game, and Monokuma's plan worked once again. You then go to Mahiru's cottage, where you find pictures, the ones that were probably in the envelope that Fuyuhiko got, and you see actual realistic pictures of the murders that happened in the game, proving that, yeah, those murders were actually something that happened in the past, and seeing the names of your classmate in the credits just meant that they were involved with this, which makes a lot more sense now, apparently. So you turn on your detective brain on for just one last time, and then the class trial begins. The class trial is underway once again, and this time the main suspect is Hiyoko, as 4 people saw her running away from the beach house crying. So it could be that she killed her and regretted her actions immediately. Fuyuhiko is also suspiciously pushing for this, even though he hasn't really done much for anyone else in the first chapter. Peko also joins in, and well, it stops once Hiyoko is proven innocent. I'm not gonna go over everything in detail, but eventually the blame manages to shift onto Peko, as they deduce that the only person who could have killed Mahiru in the beach house was her, because she would have escaped through the window without leaving any footprints, and she could have cleaned off the blood using the empty water bottles that were found in the trash can. Instead of a normal breakdown, Peko then becomes Sparkling Justice. Yep, that's right, one of Sonia's favorite serial killers turns out to be among the group. which is even more similar to Trigger Happy Havoc, as, you know, Chapter 2 has the big reveal of a serial killer among the students of Hope Peak Academy's class. The class trial is about to end, and Sonia speaks up one last time to tell everyone that no, Peko isn't Sparkling Justice, as she isn't able to speak Spanish. So yeah, that was a great fake out. Honestly, I enjoyed this because if it was another one of those Chapter 2 serial killers, I would have, you know, not really liked it. Yeah, that plot twist was really weird and uncharacteristic, but I'm glad that it didn't happen because what actually happened is much better. Voting time takes place, the majority of votes goes to Peko, and, well, turns out she's guilty. Yeah, she killed Mahiru. But in another plot twist, hopefully this one will be meaningful, it turns out that, yeah, while Peko did kill Mahiru, she didn't do it out of her own free will. She did it because she was ordered by her master. And because she didn't have any free will, that means that she couldn't have been the killer because she's not human, as she does not feel emotions, and she's just a tool to be used by her master. Her master then turns out to be Fuyuhiko, who tried to desperately defend Peko during this class trial, which is also a weird parallel to Trigger Happy Havoc's Chapter 2. So yeah, she reveals that Fuyuhiko wanted Mahiru dead, so he used Peko to kill her as a weapon, and Fuyuhiko is now forced to choose between killing everyone and then leaving the island on his own, or just sacrificing Peko and living with everyone else, hoping to find a way out of this island eventually. During this entire video, I haven't really made a comment about Fuyuhiko and his voice acting, but the voice acting by Derek Stephen Prince in this trial is amazing. Like, you can actually feel that he poured his heart into the performance, and it really shows. So, props to you for that. But yeah, Fuyuhiko can't choose, and Nagito, you know, being the Joker, tells everyone that Peko is actually a human being because she killed Mahiru to protect her master. Therefore, she has emotions. Therefore, she is the killer of this case. Libtard's own Ben Shapiro for President 2024. Then Fuyuhiko has this mental breakdown where he starts crying and begging Peko to not go in a really tragic scene because he can't really do anything about it. Everyone knows she's going to die, get executed by Monokuma, and yeah, they're both crying at this point. They're calling out to each other. They don't even manage to kiss each other goodbye, and the execution begins. For the first time in a Danganronpa game, Fuyuhiko tries to interfere with the execution. Now, I still don't really know how it works because in the execution, Peko is stranded on an island, so maybe Fuyuhiko got dragged there with her, or maybe it's just... I still don't know how it works. But yeah, Fuyuhiko tries to interfere while Peko is slashing away at thousands of wooden marionettes. He tries to reach her, but as soon as he does, she slashes him, killing him basically almost instantly, and she holds him in her arms one last time as they both get stabbed to death by the oncoming puppets in a very memorable scene. So at this point, Peko is dead, but it turns out that Fuyuhiko is still alive and barely breathing. So Monokuma spawns in an ambulance from I don't know where and kidnaps Fuyuhiko for him to heal up a bit. Now, I didn't really have any strong opinions on Fuyuhiko before this chapter started. I kind of hated him, you know, he was an asshole, very distant from everyone else. But this is the moment where Fuyuhiko becomes Heisenberg. He gets a cool eye patch, and then the character development begins. You know, he's carrying the will of his loved one, Peko, and becomes more friendly towards the group, or at least tries to. We know that this started during the trial because he was forced to choose between killing everyone else or just killing Peko, and he even tried to save her at the end. So, yeah, you can see that there was good in him, and he deserved to live. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my opinions on the class trial. If you're still watching this, first of all, thank you, and if you enjoyed the video, good, I guess, but if you didn't, just tell me why, I'll make a note of it, and yeah, I guess if you like the video, subscribe, like, other cool stuff that YouTubers say.